Hey guys, welcome to another edition of Maximum Vapage with Gypsy Jen. Today I'm going to be taking a look at 5 different flavors from Flavorful Vapors. You can find Flavorful Vapors online at flavorfulvapors.com, and I will be sure to link them up in the description below. The first flavor that I'm going to be taking a look at is the Saltwater Taffy. Great labels. They have a nice matte finish to them. They are liquid proof. I've poured a little bit of liquid on them and it just beads up and comes right off, so there's no issues with any of the labeling getting distorted or messed up from any liquid spills that you might have. The first one is Saltwater Taffy. This is a 6 milligram liquid. It is a 60 PG 40 VG liquid. Normally I vape something a little bit higher, but this is what I got from them because it's their standard mix. You can get different PG-VG ratios in all of their liquids though. So let's take a look at the Saltwater Taffy. The smell smells just like Saltwater Taffy. It's got a nice, that sweet, chewy, like Laffy Taffy or your classic Saltwater Taffy flavor to it. Because this is a higher PG liquid, I'm going to first be reviewing it in a air tank with an MVP. Higher PG liquid, I should say. Okay, so initially you get a nice sweetness with a subtle fruit and creamy undertone. That's pretty tasty. I wouldn't call it Saltwater Taffy. It's almost Saltwater Taffy. It definitely has the creaminess, and it has the nice fruit aspect to it, but it's an overall just sort of sweet flavor. Yeah, it's not bad. I don't get the drastic throat hit that you would expect to get with a higher PG liquid, which is great, especially considering this is 6 milligram. Usually I vape either a 0 or 3. Most of the time I vape at a 3. So with this being a 6, kudos to them for developing it without the drastic throat hit. So now we're going to drip some of this just to see how the flavor and the throat hit might change. Wow, flavor's pretty intense. Okay, so you get more of the fruit undertones. Some of the creaminess goes away a little bit in a dripper, but you do get the nice, you can definitely tell it's supposed to be a taffy. It has that sort of almost waxiness to it. But yeah, it's a sort of nondescript fruit aspect to it that I find very pleasing on the palate. Even in a dripper, which really is surprising me with it being this high of a PG content, the throat hit is not bad, even in a dripper, which is pretty surprising. Vapor production's pretty decent. I'm using a Derringer with a dual coil build. It's built to about 0.22. So let's take a look at the next flavor from them. So the next flavor we're going to be taking a look at from Flavorful Vapors is the Cucumber Mint. This is also a 6 milligram, 60 PG, 40 VG. All of the liquids I got from them have the same NIC level and the same PG-VG ratio. I'm going to be reviewing this one in a Pro Tank 3 first on the same MVP. It's got a nice clean mint flavor. It's not overwhelming. It doesn't have the menthol sort of effect that some mint flavors can have. Vapor production's not bad. You expect it to be a little less with a higher PG liquid. Don't get a lot of the mint. Don't get a lot of the cucumber though. It's definitely predominantly mint in the Pro Tank 3. So now let's drip some of this. The throat hit in the dripper on this is a little bit more intense than the Saltwater Taffy was. It's not terrible. It's definitely not, at least at this PG-VG ratio, I wouldn't recommend using, if you're used to using like a high VG liquid. You can get their liquids in a higher VG blend though. They have a lot of selection as far as that goes. Mint is pretty consistent from beginning to end, and at the very end you get this sort of sweet cucumber flavor. It's not overwhelming cucumber though. It's almost a milky sort of quality. Flavor production, the flavor is great. The vapor production is pretty decent. I would consider ordering some of these from them in a higher VG just to see if the flavor carries as well in the higher VG liquid as it does in the higher PG liquid. So let's take a look at the butterscotch ripple. This is the butterscotch ripple. The smell of this liquid doesn't have a lot of smell to it. You can get a faint butterscotch flavor. So I'm going to be using this with a Vision spinner and a mini Nautilus on top. Not much vapor production. Not a ton of flavor, which is sort of surprising. I kind of expected it to have a little bit more flavor considering the other two have been pretty flavorful. It's hard to get a grip on what the flavor is because there's not a lot of flavor. There is a sort of creaminess to it, but it's not overly flavorful. I'm not getting much butterscotch. It's just more of an overall creaminess using it in a tank. So let's try it in a dripper. Vapor production is significantly increased. Okay, so in the dripper, you definitely get more of the butterscotch. I would like for this to be more flavorful. I would like for this to be significantly more flavorful. There is a very subtle butterscotch flavor. It's not, for me, it's not flavorful enough. I would like for it to be, I tend to like flavors that really stand out, that you can vape it and you know exactly what you're what the flavor is supposed to be, and with the butterscotch ripple, I'm just not getting that. If you're into subtle type flavors, something that's not overwhelming, you just are looking for a way to get your nicotine delivery with just a little bit of flavor, this might be one for you. So let's try the lemon meringue pie. So the lemon meringue pie from Flavorful Vapors, I'm going to be using this in an aero tank on top of a Vision spinner. Vapor production's decent. Nice clean lemon flavor. You get a little bit of the pie crust, not a lot of the pie crust, and there's a slight tang to the lemon. Not really super bitter, but just enough bitter to balance out some of the sweetness. Overall, I'd say this is a pretty tasty flavor. I like the crust flavor that's in there. Nice clean lemon. Definitely doesn't have any of the bitterness. A lot of lemon flavors have that sort of weird bitterness. When you combine it with the sour, sometimes it can produce an overwhelming taste. This doesn't have that. So far, this is probably my favorite as far as in the tank goes. So now let's drip some. Wow. So let's address the throat hit with this. With this being a 60 PG, 40 VG, I'm thoroughly impressed that it's not over. The throat hit is a great amount of throat hit. It's not overwhelming, even in a dripper running it at about a 0.22 build. I'm really surprised by that. I can't stress that enough to you, that they've managed to pack some flavor into this without it being overwhelming, without the PG killing your throat. Tastes pretty much the same as it did in the tank, except the flavor is much more intense. This could be an easy all-day vape for me. The lemon meringue pie, that's really good. You definitely get the lemon. You get a little creaminess quality to it, so it's not just straightforward lemon. You can taste the pie crust in there. Vapor production's pretty decent. Yeah, and it doesn't have any sort of lingering flavor. Some of the higher PG flavorings can have a linger to them. This is just a nice, clean, solid flavor. So now let's take a look at the eggnog from Flavorful Vapors. I have to tell you guys, I have been on the hunt for an eggnog flavor. I want an eggnog flavor that tastes just like that nice, thick, creamy eggnog that you get during the holidays. I'm using a iTaste VV 3.0, and the liquid is in an aero tank. The spice factor is definitely very predominant. You get a lot of the nutmeg and the sort of holiday spices that are associated with eggnog. Not getting much of the creaminess though, which has sort of been par for the course for every eggnog flavor I've ever tried. Yeah, I wouldn't say this is a true eggnog flavor. If you like a heavily spiced eggnog, this may be something that would work well for you, but I'm not getting that nice heavy creaminess that you would want from an eggnog, or that I would want from an eggnog. The spices are definitely there though. It's actually pretty spicy even in this tank. So now let's drip some. Again, I'm using a little Derringer at a .22 build. I have re-wicked in between all these flavors, so there shouldn't be any residual flavors from any of the other liquids. Wow, overwhelming spice. Vapor production on these has been, on all of them really, especially in the dripper, has been sort of outstanding. For them to be such a high PG, I wouldn't expect the vapor production to be as good as they are. And again, I'm not getting that intense throat hit that you get with a lot of the higher PG liquids. Super spicy though. Super spicy. It almost reminds me more of a spiced tobacco than it does an eggnog. I'm not getting the creaminess from this. And I want to point out that I've had quite a few eggnog flavors, and I've yet to find one that produces that nice, heavy, dense, creamy factor that I'm looking for. Overall, I would say the eggnog is a decent flavor. If you're looking for more of a spicy type vape than you're looking for an eggnog, I wouldn't call it a true eggnog. So now let's take a look at their website. So here is the Flavorful Vapors website. It's got the age verification, like 18 and over. They do have sample packs. They offer lots of different e-liquids, starter kits, batteries, tanks and coils, and they even have some DIY supplies for those of you who are into that. So they've got free shipping on orders of $50 and over. This is just some of the general stuff they've got here. So let's take a look at the e-liquids. So I'd like to point out that they have, Flavorful Vapors has a recommended steeping, they have recommended steeping directions for all their liquids, and they recommend that you leave the top off when steeping and keep it in a warm, dark place, right here, warm, dark place. This is the first time I've seen a recommended steeping this way. Most places recommend it in a cool, dark place, that's dry. So I did steep these liquids for about a month in the recommended way that they have on the website. The sample packs, this is what they sent me, was the 5 flavor sample pack, and you can choose any flavors that you want that they have. They have a ton of flavors. Their nicotine strength is 6 milligrams, 12 milligrams, 18 milligrams, 24 milligrams, and they go all the way up to 36 milligrams. And right here is the PG-VG ratio. You can see right here is the 60%, 40% house blend. That's what all of the liquids I got came in. But you can get it in 100% PG all the way down to max VG. So then you just, like all the rest of them, you just click your flavors and put them in here. The 5 flavor sample pack is $11.99. So that's a pretty decent price, especially if you've not had them and you want to try a couple different flavors. Their 12 ml bottles are $2.99, and that's for any flavor. So yeah, that's a great price. So that's their website. It's pretty basic, just like most most standard websites these days. So that's been a review for Flavorful Vapors, the Saltwater Taffy, Cucumber Mint, Butterscotch Ripple, Lemon Meringue Pie, and the Eggnog. I would have to say out of these flavors that I got, the Lemon Meringue Pie was probably my favorite, followed up by the Saltwater Taffy. I would like to give kudos to Flavorful Vapors for being able to produce a higher PG liquid without the intense throat hit. All in all, I'd say these are decent liquids, and for the price, you really can't go wrong. I would definitely be interested in ordering some more liquids from them at a higher VG level, just to see if they're able to capture the flavor with the higher VG. So that's been a look at Flavorful Vapors. I will be sure to link up their website in the description below. If you guys like the video, be sure to slap that like button and subscribe, and keep track with all of the other reviews that we're doing. Thanks, and have a great one.